Hey, Joy Starters, Rachel Joy Barbeau here. We are going to do one more episode right now, and then we're taking a break. We're taking a break for a couple of weeks to gather ourselves, to breathe. What do I teach you all the time, baby? I teach you that you have... Let me pause, y'all. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, and you heard me talk about last week, if you did not hear me on the podcast, the fact that I just got a book deal for my second book, and I'm so excited. But in that book, I talk about, and in my first book, about slowing down, about making time for you, about attending to your nervous system, okay? So, interestingly enough, I just had somebody who's very, very special to me, a male, call me yesterday and tell me I am totally burnout. I am like, I'm being pulled in a million different directions. I don't feel like myself. I'm not good. And I prescribed to him what I prescribed to myself and what I prescribed to all of you, and why I'm telling you this story. And I told him, you have got to enact some hard boundaries, and you have got to get people around you that will have your back and, be your ride or dies. And you got to get back to the basics, baby. Faith, get on your knees, get good sleep, get good food in you, get a workout in, sunshine, vitamin D, go ground, like take a few days or a week and put off all the meetings that you can put off. And, do what you have to do. And I'm telling you this because I'm always teaching in this podcast, do what you have to do, but you have got to take care of your nervous system. And I was just doing videos for the podcast, for the retreat, videos for the landing page and videos for ads and videos for all these things because the spots are filling up. And I was talking about that. The retreat is for people that are dreamers, are doers, are people that are healers, but it's also for people that are burnt out, that are tired, that know they need human connection. I've been speaking on this lately in my talks. I am going to take a breath. I've been speaking on this lately in my talks, and that is that there is this return. If you don't know, there is this return. There's some people that believe that social media, and it's a necessary evil for myself and many people. I say evil. I try to use it for good, to encourage people. And one of the things I talked about in Relentless Joy was I would often go to compliment somebody on something when my mom was alive, and I'd found out that she had gotten there first, and she had said something kind, the same thing I was going to say. Ooh. So it's a necessary evil, but what people are saying is there's a huge return right now to granny hobbies like canning, knitting, board games, things of that nature. And not only that, this outlet, this study was saying that they thought that there was going to be a drop off in social media in the next few years because people are just burnt out, tired, worn out, all the things that are draining your soul. And so I want to tell you that I was making the videos for the retreats, and like I said, it's healers, it's dreamers, it's doers, it's people that are tired, it's people that know they need more. I just booked a spot last night for a woman who is 70 years old, who is a widower, and she hasn't had a lot of joy in her life. And she said, thank you so, so much. I know I need this, Rachel. And y'all, it just warmed my ever-loving soul to know that she's going to be there. And in the later stages of her life is going to figure out what her purpose is and rekindle joy. And so I cannot even imagine. I keep thinking about just watching y'all who are going to be at the retreat and the ball, and watching y'all and the joy that I'm going to feel watching you get a hold of these people, and these people touching your soul like Laura and Jeremy and Shannon and Shirley and Lindsay and my amazing DJ at the ball who DJ'd my wedding, y'all. People said to me that is the best wedding that I've ever been to in terms of like the entertainment. There was 17 to 77 on the dance floor dancing all night. So all that to say is I was just talking to this person. I was just coaching him. And he said, so I helped him. I gave him a battle plan. That's what I'm kind of, not to say famous, but that's what I'm known for in my coaching or battle plans. Secondarily, I did the same thing, y'all. This weekend, I practiced what I preached. And I knew there were messages and things that were outstanding on my to-do list, but my son is in the playoffs, and boy, do I have a story to tell when the season is over about that. As a matter of fact, I'm about to do an interview on something that happened last weekend that I'll tell you more about after we take our podcast break. But this is our wrap up to this amazing season. But I practiced what I preached, y'all. And this weekend, I didn't do work. This weekend, I didn't answer emails. This weekend, I put hearts on messages and waited until Monday or Sunday night to answer them. And I am really proud of myself. I went slow. I think I've told you this before, but I have recognized over this past 5-8 years, this discovery of myself, that oftentimes I hurry just because it's what I've always done. I'll eat lunch standing up. I will start to rush myself. And then if I can stop myself enough time, I will say, what am I hurrying for? I'm hurrying because that's what I normally do. Rachel, you can sit down and eat lunch. And the other thing is, you're not that important. I mean, I know I'm important in God's eyes, but I'm not that important, and the world's going to keep spinning, and it's going to be okay. We don't have to rush. I don't want to rush anymore, y'all. I've been saying this a lot in my talks. I'm in this place of a savor culture over a hustle culture. I've spent half my life trying to matter, trying to be seen, trying to do all the things, and baby, I am in it to win it right now for the savor culture. So a lot of things have happened in the past couple of weeks being on the road. If you've listened to the last few podcasts, I went from my home, Yulee, to Birmingham to speak at the Love Lady back to Florida, driving 7 hours, and then to Vegas, and then back, and then to Chiefland, Florida overnight to speak at Release City Church. Love you guys. And then back, and then to Greenville, South Carolina, which, funny enough, and I'm going to get into that in a moment, but funny enough, y'all, up until the night before I left for that trip with my HFMA family, and I love you guys, I thought I was going to Greensboro. Probably a good thing that I double checked the hotel and where I was going, but that's how fast I was moving. Now, wonderful, amazing moments didn't miss me. I mean, if you saw listen to the last podcast, you'll know that about Vegas. Like, I'm in it to win it. I'm locked in. My soul is open. My garment of openness is there. But boy, that detail, that almost got right by me, and I almost literally drove to Greensboro, North Carolina versus Greenville, South Carolina. But I wanted to read you, because this anniversary just passed. It was, October 27th, 2019. And this was the day I was on a plane, and this was the day that I retired from sportscasting. And it had been percolating in my soul, but my agent, Jason, my brother from another mother, said, hey, listen, let's wait a little bit longer. Let's wait towards the end of the season. Let's let them know. He just, advised it wasn't exactly the time, but it had been percolating in my soul for about a year. And this is partly another millionth reason why I'm hosting the retreat, because God was telling me for a year that I needed to quit sportscasting and pick up my cross and do what I'm doing now full time. And I kept running from him. I kept trying to get other jobs, and jobs that I should have been really, really, overly qualified for. And doors kept, I'm just honest, I'm radically vulnerable. Doors kept shutting in my face. And I'm like, I don't understand it. And God was saying, I'm not making a way in that direction. I'm making the way in the direction that you want me to go, that I want you to go, and that is to jump off that cliff, go full time into I'm changing the narrative, and you'll learn to fly or I'll catch you. Now, you remember in 2020 and Relentless Joy, I talked about the fact that then after I made this huge leap of faith, I lost everything in 2020. But I've been amending that statement because I didn't lose everything. Financially, I did. And I have questioned God. I've been Lot's wife. I've questioned God a lot about it. But I recognize now, I have one of my best friends handkerchiefs here. I love you, Chris. But I've questioned God a lot about it over the years. And I recognize now why he let me go through that. One was to depend on him and to see if he could trust me not only in my blessing, I heard this recently, but in my pain. and when everything fell apart, but also to be able to relate to people who had lost everything, who had financial shame. And but regardless of what happened in 2020 and 2019, I made the insane, courageous leap to leave while I was employed. Serious. And many people to this day still think I'm nuts. Many people ask me, do you miss sportscasting? And the fact is, I do not. I love what I do. I'm still around teams, all of the things, but this is my calling. So I'm going to read you the letter that I wrote, and I had it written in my notes, and then I finally shared it on a plane. I don't remember where I was flying to, but I remember the poor guy next to me. I do. I shared it the morning after we hosted a mental health game, the first mental health game ever in the history of I'm Changing the Narrative between two Big Ten teams. Thank you, PJ and Heather Fleck. And my family had come up for it, and I'd been honored in the locker room. It was crazy. And the next morning I was flying to Mexico for a healing journey, the last place that my mom and I took a girls trip, and we're Mayan Indian. And so we went to this place and I asked for the same room, and I stayed on a Mayan cenote. It's a cenote regardless, but the Mayans used them. And it was a healing journey all by myself. And I shared this letter. Are you ready? Ooh. I have known for a while now that there is more, that I haven't even, okay, actually, here it is. That was the second page. You ready? Okay, get yourself together, Rachel. You have a meeting to go to tonight. I've spent my whole career, 17 years, hustling, grinding, asking, seeking, pushing, trying to stay relevant, because it's so hard as a woman still in this field. Can I get a what? And if I can be brutally honest, I'm a bit tired. I'm tired in my soul from that journey. I'm tired of trying to keep up and matter, because the truth is I matter a great deal. And being a sportscaster does not make me who I am. This is for anybody who's struggling with identity. At the same time, I feel incredibly liberated. I have known for a while now that there is more, that I have an even higher calling, but I've been fighting it, running from it as a full-time calling. But the running from my calling also made me weary. So I've decided to fully give my career and what's next to Jesus. And Lord, did I need to buckle my seatbelt, because he was going to carry me through. He is the pilot anyhow. I am retiring as a sportscaster after the 2019 season to focus solely on I'm Changing the Narrative. And by the way, it was called Changing the Narrative, hashtag Changing the Narrative at the time. But then we realized there was a lot of other movements and people that were using that hashtag. So we made it I'm Changing the Narrative to make it declarative, like I'm changing the narrative of my life. I'm retiring after the 2019 season to focus solely on changing the narrative. I'm changing the narrative now. My baby that has affected so many lives, chiefly my own. At this point, there isn't time to sleep, and I'm always trying to catch my breath. Anybody relate? I feel like it's time to give this life-changing, soul-altering movement everything I've got. There are lives at stake. I'm going to write the book. I promised myself I always would when I had time. And I'm going to heal. That is so vital. My only request, pray for me, support me, if you will, because it hasn't been easy to come to this conclusion. Send me all the positive mojo you got, because I'm terrified, but I have faith. I'm a mustard seed, and I know this is my destiny. So I'm jumping off the cliff, knowing that God will either teach me to fly or catch me. I did not know, y'all, that this was in this letter. I haven't read this letter in more than a year. P.S. Thank you for 17 years of the most amazing sportscasting career. All of it. Every relationship, every interview, every show, every game, and every season. I will remain involved in sports, likely more so than I ever was before. Ooh. You will still see me on sidelines and in team rooms telling the stories that elevate and motivate. The ones that provide hope and share grace, doing all that I can through ICTN to incrementally improve the lives of each player, program, and person I reach. I love you all so much. So that was my retirement letter, written October 27th, 2019. And boy, has it been a wild ride since then. If you're just now following me, just starting to follow me, maybe you did not know that back in February, on my mom's birthday, you talk about signs and wonders. She sent a heavenly gift that I presented to all 32 NFL teams at the annual meetings. And I had people say to me, girl, you spoke to my soul. Like you spoke to my soul. Man, like you grabbed my soul. My soul. And speaking of that, I'm telling you some stories from on the road here. When I was at the HFMA conference, I had a man come up to me afterwards, and I take time, by the way, if you ever write a book or if you ever do something creatively that you put out in the world, take time for people. Okay, never forget that. Take time for people. What do you mean by that, Rachel? I mean that I take time to not only sign books, but I will put a message in there. I'll put their name in there. I do that on purpose. Like, you are important. I want to write a message. I don't want to just scribble my name. And I want to take time with you when you come up. And people will say to me, I don't want to hold up the line. No, you're not holding up any line. I love you. And this man came up to me and he said, and by the way, when I'm done, I have this notebook. Let me show you. I have this notebook that is so precious to me. It says the NFL on it, that I got when I was at the meetings. And I took time afterwards to write down some of the stories that I heard from people. And one of the stories, and people were asking me, they were like, we got to go. And I was like, no, hold on. I'm like, I got to write this down, because if I don't write it down, listen to me too on this. If you don't write it down, I'm always teaching, write your life down. I teach that at every talk, because then I would have gone to lunch and had more memories and had more things happen. And then I would have forgotten about it. And I would have forgotten about these people that poured into my life. Okay. So, man that said, I've been to a lot of these. Thank you for engaging us like no one ever did. Woman that said, God sent you to affirm me of my purpose. I've been praying. Woman said, I texted my mom and it's been a rocky relationship, but thank you for encouraging me to text her. Man that said, will you speak to the women to tell them to support men when they are vulnerable? Y'all, it's Men's Mental Health Month. I work with men and women, but I do special work with men. And a man came up to me and said that. And so I want to encourage women, if you want men to do things besides protect, provide, perform, it is your job, sis, in your divine feminine and his divine masculine. It's your job to be peace, to be his peace. But when your man finally, and you want him to do this, you want to know what he's thinking, you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, and he takes his mask off and shares with you what's going on, be his place of support, right? My husband used to tell me, and I'm just mask off. I tell on myself, I tell my good, my bad, my happy, my sad. I used to be conflict. I used to not be his place of peace. And I've recognized that it is my job to be his peace and in this relationship. And you can get mad at me and say whatever you want, but I'm talking to women as a whole, and I'm asking for women, for your sons, for your husbands, for your fathers, for your friends, for your brothers. If you tell them this is a safe place and you can open up to me, I need you to not, this is what this gentleman told me, ridicule me, make me feel stupid, hold it against me when I am being vulnerable. This man told me this. So I'm just telling you what this man, the experience that he had, that he's asking women to be safe and to be supportive and to be soft and to be an honest, beautiful place to land. Can I ask you that, sis? Can I ask you that, sis to sis, right? In our divine feminine. I was talking on a different podcast that you'll hear when we come back for another season with my brother, Robert Collins. And I said that early in my marriage, I brought this boss lady energy to my marriage because I had always had to take care of myself. I'd always, if I didn't work, if I didn't pay the bills, nobody paid them. I had to be boss lady in my sportscasting career, but I recognized after a few years that that did not serve me in my marriage. And I don't need to be boss lady. I don't want to wear the pants. I certainly don't want to emasculate my husband. And I've recognized the more I can be his peace, the more I can be his chief encouragement officer and teach him boundaries and all of the things, the more I can get out of that boss lady energy and into my divine feminine, which is soft and peaceful and loving and kind and growing and healing. And baby, that is beautiful. A glowing soul, a healing soul. Ooh, Lord have mercy. So yeah, that is my call to my sisters, to my fellow queens, whether it is, like I said, a brother, a son, a husband. If you're asking him to be vulnerable, if you're asking him to share his feelings, please be his peace, be a soft place to land, be supportive, and just listen. Remember, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen. I just started, at the beginning of this podcast, I talked about it. I just started a conversation with somebody who needed advice yesterday. And I said, do you want me to listen or listen to provide a solution? And he said, I don't know, sis. I said, okay, just start. Okay. So that's the greatest thing. It's not my advice. I cannot remember who said it, but I'm not owning it. Start the conversation. Do you want me to listen or listen to provide a solution? You know, I'm always teaching. I also want to ask you to pray for Lacey and Sheila. At the beginning of this 2 weeks of amazing travel, I got a chance to go home, and it was particularly poignant for several reasons. Where is my, where is my, oh Lord, I feel like I'm going to cry again. It was particularly poignant for several reasons. There it is, my handkerchief. One, because my stepdad, who's like a dad, his girlfriend, who's been with for several years, who I love and adore, she was coming to visit from Kansas, and she was staying in my mother's house. And no matter what happens, no matter where we go, no matter what we do, it will always be my mom's house. But, you know, and as much as I love her, seeing another woman in my mom's house, you know, it was hard, right? Like I thought it was going to be hard. Well, at the last minute, my husband, Christopher, was able to go with me. And y'all have been speaking at the Love Lady for 12 years. I've been with him 8. I've talked about him for all those years. And I wanted, like, people, these women, these 500 women, y'all, and I've told you this before, but I'm going to tell you again. It is the country's largest country's largest long-term Christian women's rehabilitation center, where they can come and stay for long-term, not 30, 60, 90 days. They can stay for a year, 2 years. They can get job training, medical, dental, you know, courses, classes, bring your kids. It's amazing. 500 women, 1 woman out, 1 woman in from prison or from jail or from the streets or from the next door neighbor to you, because addiction knows no socioeconomic background, right? Or bracket. So it was, right? Like it's so important to me because I've been going there for 12 years. And I got to take him with me. I got to bring him on stage with his beautiful German soul and self. And everybody got to woohoo him and see him in person. My college roommate got to come up and come and see me there. It was amazing. But I also, Gary and Trish, his girlfriend, got to come and see me. And as we were leaving, ended up leaving a day early because we needed to get back, because I had to get to Vegas, which you saw down that last podcast. We were leaving, we were all out in the driveway, and they do the thing where they wave to us, you know, until we are out of sight. And we took a selfie, and it just is what love looks like on the other side. And I hope she's okay with me telling this story, but Trish lost her husband, Larry, the love of her life. And Gary lost Georgia, my mom. And so I don't know if it would work as well as it does if they hadn't, you know, because there might be always the feeling of, they comparing or any of those things. They both have known grief so deep and lost the love of their life, and they found love again. And so where I was worried at the beginning, I was like, by the end of it, I wasn't even by the end of it. Like, she's so precious and so sweet and so lovely and so kind. And I love her and I love her family. Like, she could not be more of a beautiful, golden, gorgeous soul. And I know my mom was smiling down. So we took this selfie, me, Christopher, Trish, and Gary, before we left. And it was like, this is what love looks like. This is what a second chance of love looks like. So if you're listening to this and you are a widower, don't give up hope. Come to the retreat, because you never know who you're going to meet at the ball. Because a widower just signed up last night. She's 70 years old, and I'm so proud of her. So yeah, that's what I got to share. And one more thing, I want you to pray for Sheila and Lacey and all those women's dreams that were there at the Love Lady. But I asked anybody who was determined to praise in their pain and to I use scripture to talk about this. Paul and Silas in jail, while they sang and they praised, even while they were persecuted and beaten and in jail. There are people listening to you while you're in jail, and they're looking at you to see if you're going to praise or you're going to grumble, and or you're going to sing or you're going to grumble. And so I talked about that, and I call it the messy middle, because I've been in the messy middle, right? And I asked that. Well, a lot of women came up, but right before I was about to end, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I cannot not leave here. I cannot leave here and ask if anybody in here, these 500 women, don't know Christ as your Savior. And 2 women raised their hands. They were on the second level, Sheila and Lacey. So will y'all pray for me for all those women's dreams, all the women's court cases, all the women to get clean and be reunited and healed and have their dreams answered and all the things, but very, very importantly, will you pray for and praise God with me for Sheila and Lacey giving their life to Christ that night. And y'all, to me, what I get to do, I say this all the time, if you offered me $1 million check right before I went on stage and said, you can take this, you can go cash it, take it to the bank, baby. All you have to do is leave here and not speak, not do your calling, not touch lives. Y'all, I would not take the money. I wouldn't. And that comes from somebody who lost everything financially, including a house, okay? I wouldn't take the money because I found what sets my soul on fire. And I want that for you too. That's why I do this podcast every week. That's why I travel. That's why I pour out. And I think one of the big lessons of this podcast is please take care of yourself. Please take care of your nervous system. Please go sit in the sunshine. Please pray. Please eat well. Please take care of you. I've got something in my eye. Please take care of you, because the world is constantly pouring, taking from this cup. The world is constantly, you've got to put liquid back in the cup of your soul. You've got to, and you got to fix the cup of your soul so that it doesn't leak out, okay? I love you guys. We are taking a couple-week break. We are focusing on the retreat. We are dotting every I, crossing every T, thinking about every second that people are going to be there and the ball. And I'm healing, and I'm taking a little bit of time from going and pouring out. I'll still be here. I'll still be on socials. You can still talk. We can still do other things. We're just taking a little break from the podcast. And during that time, you can go back and binge all of our former seasons. Love you guys.